why teach preachers about humor?
Exactly.
God created everything and called it good, and that includes humor. And I, from my study of Scripture, believe that humor is actually an aspect of God's character, and then we're made in God's image, and so humor is a part of what it means to be human.
Humor's always been with us. You know, whenever there's two people, there's jokes are going to happen or laughter's going to happen. It's part of what it is to be human.
The idea that this life is a vale of tears and joy has to wait until the next life is actually something we're really trying to counter, because humor as a gift from God is a companion to hope and joy, and it is not something we have to wait for the next life for. Our purpose in the book and today is not to help a preacher become a better jokester or to make people like them because they're accessible and they're humorous. But our purpose is actually to inspire preachers to internalize what we're calling a humor orientation. What happens when the preacher internalizes that? There are three benefits to the preacher, and one is your self-conception.
One of the things that I was taught really early on in my ministry is that in order to be a pastor, you have to learn to laugh at yourself, because otherwise you're just going to stay stressed out all the time.
I think today is going to shape the way that I relate with my congregants. I think it's going to shape the way I relate with myself, and most importantly, the concept of humor and God, it's going to shape the way that I relate with my Creator.
I really do believe that humor lets us see the common frailties in each other, and that lets us recognize that we're all not perfect and yet we all can be better. So it helps us both forgive each other and strive for something better with each other and for each other. And that's going to get us the ability to build a congregation of grace.
I think the devil, after his tremendous failure at tempting Jesus, went back to his devil den or his bat cave or wherever he goes and had a tempter tantrum. I've always used humor in my preaching and have found it to be a very effective tool, using humor to share the joy of God in everyday life. And this project has really helped me to think about why. Well, it's a gift from God. Why not use it?
As I started to see professionals wrestle with the concept of how can I integrate humor into my reading of the text, my preaching, and how can I help them understand and see the value in it, that will help me write the book better, but also help them start to see it more.
To teach preachers about how to use humor, because that's the purpose of the book, but also to help us to do that better through the book. And now we're asking the folks who came today to help us with some of the nuts and bolts. So we've covered the why, now they're helping us with the how.
One thing I've appreciated about today is it's invited me to revisit some sermons and think about possibilities that I may have missed. And I think that might set me up for how could I incorporate some opportunities going forward.
Reading text and reading the humor that's there is a new concept for me. So that's what I'm really looking at. And I already looked at the text for next week because I'll be preaching next week. And so I'm already seeing some little things to be able to pull out and actually use what I learned here today.
The more I study humor, the more I realize how important it is to open up its power for good in the pulpit.